Now I'll leave the floor to Professor Allam, and I would like to thank him once again for his patience and that really allowed it to have him again today with us. So thank you very much.
So thank you very, very much, Dr. Isra. Thank you, Professor Hawaj, Professor Mansour, and all Ahlia team. I'm very grateful for the invitation. And thank you very much for making all the efforts to connect me. I have never had any doubt but that Ahlia will be able to technically connect me, because in 2017, during our international conference, that was the best live conference coverage for any of our international conferences. So even someone wrote about it in Europe here. So thank you very much for the opportunity. Very big topic, and I will go ahead very quickly because of the time. Now, this topic is quite big, and I'm really glad you have discussed this topic because I think it's quite important. I have selected the title Strategic Planning and Leadership in Higher Education because I think this is what's important. What is going to happen now? It needs future and visionary leaders or transformative leaders who can move quickly with what is happening now. So I will give very quick policy directions for post-COVID. Now, the pictures on the left, you can see there are a lot of logos here. And the reason I mention them, we have been dealing with lots of organizations for the last 15 or 20 years. But we have primarily been able to do so because of the technology, of the connectivity with the broadband and so on. So we have already been connecting online. Now, before we have the COVID-19, before we have the coronavirus, all universities, higher education, my university included, we have all in higher education been discussing about our curriculum and programs are very tired. They have been both content and delivery. We have been discussing this in the UK, in America, and I'm sure in Bahrain and every place about how to renovate the content and the delivery of our programs. And this should include real world problems. This issue, I've been in a conference yesterday with lots of people from the Middle East, they're saying the same. We need to connect this to real daily problem. Embedding academic entrepreneurship. This is again, the World Bank is talking about this, employability and lifelong learning. So we already have been discussing this in the last 5 to 10 years, but the last 5 years have been like this. So what exactly now the question is how to sustain university confidence about its future, because I can see it in the UK from several vice chancellors. We keep getting letters, we keep being told the UK universities are going through a very difficult time. In fact, last night at 6 o'clock news, which is the main news here by the BBC, there was a big report about how universities are now considering seriously to re-innovate itself quickly, because we may not have any international students coming to our campuses this September. So we already been starting thinking about our future. So today more than ever, I think in human history, the readiness of nations depend on the quality of higher education. The World Bank is talking about the welfare and the economic development of countries depend on the quality of higher education. But today, to cope and to go through this crisis, it depends on how ready we are. And to give you one example, our government here in the United Kingdom, and I'm sure my colleagues may have received that email, our parliament contacted all academics across the United Kingdom, giving them a list of topics and research area where the government needs a quick help. So you go online, you put your name, okay, I can provide technical support or I can provide knowledge on this. This is the United Kingdom Parliament. So you can see how important universities to help countries go through through this time of difficulty. Secondly, in this post-COVID-19 era, we will have different kind of global skills and knowledge race. We will be fighting each other. We will be competing on a different set of skills. One example, and I'm definitely saying this with full confidence on heart, like what's his name, Haitham, your technical colleagues there, who managed to fix, and eventually he said to me, okay, let me fix another thing. I will connect you from an email from Bahrain. So this is a kind of a skill. This is a moment of truth. Either he will connect me or he will lose me. So universities cannot fail to realize, accept, and accomplish its natural and ascribed roles are a strategic agent for national development remotely. The reason I mention remotely, universities now to help countries, they need to consider the digital and this remote teaching. Situate the university more boldly and robustly within the dynamic global digital system. Now we are in a different knowledge digital system. We have to make sure Ahlia or Oxford or Cambridge, we all into this together because we are all locked down. We have to be robustly embedded there. Keep re-articulating the academic and research mission and strategic priorities in the face of dynamically changing national and global challenges. What we are facing in the United Kingdom, not necessarily what you are facing in Bahrain, but what we are going through is the same like what you are going. And I have been talking about this. The whole world, it went through 3 revolutions: industrialization, globalization, and industrialization, information, and we are in a globalization era. The COVID-19 pandemic is a globalization challenges. So we are all in this, but we have different challenges. Continuously scrutinize your robust system and procedure. And the robust system, like the system you have, you manage to get all these people now on online. Your procedures to safeguard excellence and best practices, because we will have to come back again. No matter what we are going to do, how we're going to teach, it's still we're going to be judged by how we're going to deliver excellent education and learning. Best practices, standards, people who are doing the QA and all the experts have talked before me, they will come back and say, yes, we understand we are teaching remotely, but we have to still ensure quality. No one will fly from Bahrain to study at Sussex or Oxford or Cambridge if the quality is dropped. The same thing, no one will fly to study in Bahrain if the quality drops. So quality assurance and control mechanism. I will go quickly because I know my time. Professor Hawaj mentioned earlier, universities, they have to face to the real challenges. This is what is the whole globe is facing. And this is a slide. If you look at this slide, we're all facing crisis, conflict, water resources, and so on and so forth. The pandemic is a global crisis and universities should stand up for these challenges. Secondly, previously with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals we have been discussing, you can see the center of all these challenges is education. And then you have the knowledge, the innovation, because if you can see, governments cannot do it alone. So universities have to take a lead because we are in the heart of education, which is primary and secondary and university. And finally, in the challenges, the world, it has already changed. We are already in a digital economy. We are already in a digital environment. We are already moving from oil-based to knowledge-based. This book we published in 2015 to document the experience of United Arab Emirates, your neighbor in the region, as a leading country moving towards moving away from oil to knowledge-based. So the world is already moving. We have been going through this, but we didn't realize how we have been going through this journey. On the top right-hand corner, this is a cover from The Economist. You can see for a long time, people are talking about making money from Facebook, Google, and so on. On the bottom down, you can see this book about innovation and startups in the GCC. So Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Bahrain, and others are already talking about this. Tunisia, to mention just quickly, is becoming a good country, with a leading country in data science. So why now? We need to reposition and rebrand the university as an excellent provider of transformative education. We have to talk now as leader of higher education about transformation. And the problem is we need to transform now. So by September, we have a new intake of students, whether in Bahrain or in the UK, with this transformation in place. Like my colleague just mentioned, we need to change research, achieve national and international recognition during the global lockdown. We are locked, but we have to survive. Changing expectation of students. This is quite a big topic. I was been talking on a conference last night. Now students, they're going to be remotely talking to us like now. Imagine I'm teaching now. They will be in their pajamas. There will be no interactivity and so on. They need to be excited. They say, okay, if you're not going to excite me, Allam, I will watch your video after you finish. This interactivity will not work if we are not really changing the way we're going to deliver the talk. Increase competition. And this is very important. I will mention it for Ahlia and other universities. In the UK, we are now expecting to have no international students coming to our campus this summer, this September. So what does that mean? Students from Bahrain or from Saudi Arabia, from UAE, from Sudan, from Egypt, who were thinking before to come to UK, now because of the virus, from the COVID and so on, they might think of local sub-providers. So you need to stand up. There's an opportunity. Students from Bahrain who were thinking to come to the UK, now their parents, they will say, okay, let me teach them in Bahrain or in Ahlia because there is so many advantage now. That's exactly what happened. And the proof to this, schools in the United Kingdom opened 3-4 days ago. Many parents, myself included, I did not send my kids to the school. I'm still not very confident on the safety of my kids. So my kids are studying from home now. They will choose to study at home and so on. Increase competition. This education system, this infrastructure, digital technologies, they need money. This is very costly. And then we talk about reduced income. We all have to bring our income down, and then changing technology, which like Professor Al-Ali earlier mentioned. I will just try to finish quickly. I know I'm exceeding my time, but I will finish quickly. This is a very famous quote from the man, which we call him the father and the founder of data science. This is a man which he taught all of us, whether directly or indirectly, about data science. He said, very famous quote, 85% of the reasons of failure are deficiencies in the system and process rather than the employee. So this can lead us now, in order to survive and to be strong and not to fail, we need to consider the systems and the procedures. And that's what my colleagues have said. I will finish. In order to attract the students, one just example, this is my famous slide, one example. I always say to my colleagues, this is how if you ask me, Allam, I would like to be an academic, I would like to be a teacher, I will open your eyes and I say to you, a good teacher will explain how things happen. A superior teacher demonstrate how you score the goal. He will say to you, you throw the ball and it will go through that ring and you score the goal. But the great teacher is the one who will inspire his students. So to finish, if you really want to change, you want to deal with this remote learning, attracting students, you need to be an inspirational lecturer. If you cannot become an inspirational lecturer, students will not watch your lecture live. They will watch for the video and they will do it. And I will finish the current global lockdown, as Professor Al-Ali said, Professor Hawaii said, and 3 of my colleagues said, creates a case to genuinely pursue international collaboration, not only in areas of curriculum research, development, learning and teaching research methodology, but also in quality accreditation and faculty capacity. It is the time, because I am now talking to my colleagues, 10 of them, including all of the distinguished professors there. It is now the opportunity for us to cultivate this negative impact of the lockdown into a very positive message, which it is a time for us to cooperate. And Bahrain is a very famous country. I always cite it, where people from different backgrounds, different religions, they have managed to live together. So we, the academics, should manage to work together from America, from Africa, from Asia, Professor Hawaii mentioned. And thank you very much. Sorry if I exceeded my time.
Thank you very much, Professor Allam, for your informative presentation. Yeah, honestly speaking, you have touched upon the Sustainable Development Goals, and absolutely, this is something that we are all working towards that. Specifically, goal number 4, which is related to education quality. And I believe all the regulatory authorities, including Education and Training Quality Authority, have linked their strategies in line with the Sustainable Development Goals to assure and maintain the highest quality standards in terms of education in Bahrain. And that's where we have aligned all our strategies in line with their strategies as well. So I will now leave the floor to Professor Mansour to start the questions with the speakers. And we will try to keep the answers very short in order to maximize the benefit of having this, as much as we can of the speakers as well as the attendees. Thank you. Victor, you're on mute. Thank you.
Can you hear me clearly now?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Really, I am impressed. And I think Dr. Isra will ask me to give a conclusion at the end or general remarks and I have made some fantastic points because I really am impressed with all the presentations and the amount of knowledge. And this is by all means a fantastic international gathering, and it is really a fantastic collaboration project, if you like, where people with all this expertise from leading organizations have joined together and given us this opportunity. So thank you very much for giving Ahlia the chance to welcome you and host you. Thank you, Dr. Isra, for really exceptionally managing the forum. We will start asking questions, myself and Dr. Isra, alternatively. I will start by Professor Allam. He came last, but I will start with first question. If you can please make the answers, as Dr. Isra mentioned, to a minute to maximum 1.5 to 2 minutes, because then we'll all have a chance to benefit from each other. Thank you. Professor Allam, to which extent do you think the United Nations SDGs supported universities around the world to be prepared for COVID-19 pandemic?
Very short answer, not very much. And I think in several reports, even the UN itself have confirmed that there is lots of shortcomings. And the proof for that, the UN has only looked at e-learning last year. And I will send all of you the link to the workshop we did here jointly with Petru from the United Nations Joint Inspection Unit. And it was, I'm not saying it is a shame, but at least a good thing. The UN now realize the importance of e-learning, but they came too late. They haven't yet even advised us how to do it. So that's a very short answer.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. My next question is to Professor Allam. Professor Allam, considering COVID-19,
yes,
what in your view are the SDGs which are really relevant at this stage for HEIs to consider and should be given some attention?
Okay, this is very, very important question. I think that definitely number one will be the health, because SDG, which deal with health and well-being, because this crisis principle was about health. But to take that into account, all the others SDGs, they have also been important. But then the next one, if I take them in some order, after the health and well-being, we will go to education. Because part of the problem we are facing now is really educational thing. Doctors, consultants have talked every day. Today I've been contacted by a big group from UAE with UAE Red Crescent want to help Sudan doctors. I've been contacted by British group here, one in Saudi Arabia, and so on and so forth. Many consultants, many doctors, lots of webinars, lots of advice, whether in Arabic, English, French, South Africa, everywhere. So that has been plenty of supply. What is missing is the social science. To educate people not to go to each other. We still can see funerals. We can still see people, even in London. I don't know if you hear the news. In London, 2 days ago, we just heard it today. Big group of people in South London, or in West London, they came for a party, big party, street party in London. So the police, they have to bring lots of vans, helicopters, and imagine, not only just the health hazard, all these vans, police, helicopters to secure the place from 2 o'clock in the morning, from 10 o'clock in the night until 4 o'clock in the morning is huge cost. So I think education is very critical. And then it goes further up. ICT, which is innovation, which is SDG 9 to do with the industry. And then the cycle will go. But even if you look at all of them, number 17, collaboration and partnership is also very important. What you're doing now, Professor, is partnership. You're having people from all over the world, academia, industry, and so on. So all of these have really shown the importance of looking at all these SDG. And also the question is very good, because always people have been arguing for a multidisciplinary approach to look at these SDGs. You can't have education alone to solve it. You can't have, and I have been argued with lots of consultants, doctors. Please kindly understand, you have done a lot of work now. We need to focus more on the social science community. That's where you can see the importance of it. I wouldn't want to talk longer, but yes, there are some they look very important, like health, but without the others, we can't solve it, Professor.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Allam. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Professor Mansour?
Thank you. Next question is to Professor Allam. With regards to education quality, which is SDG 4, do you think COVID-19 practices will require any additional expectations, in your view?
You mean as universities, you mean?
Yes, yes, of course.
Okay, I think one thing we could have done better, because if you remember, after the atrocities in London, the couple of terrorism attack we had, the London Metropolitan Police, they have done something remarkably good. And they said, we can't wait for another one. We have to rehearse what is going to happen. And we have witnessed in London a couple of times, they have done a mock, like we call it a mock exam, because in the university we call it mock exam. They have tried to imitate, if we have a crisis in the tube, what we will do, and then they have people coming, they have the emergencies, the doctors, and so on. What we didn't do at universities, although we have all these technologies and we know the e-learning and we know it will work and we know all that, but actually we haven't tried it in such a full capacity. So when these things came to us, I have noticed not only in my university, but most universities here in the UK, they found it like a big shock to the system. We suddenly receive like 20, 30 emails every day from the IT department telling us how to use Microsoft Teams, blah, 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 how to log in, how to use the camera. And I remember a couple of universities I'm aware of, some department, they start ordering laptops for staff who they don't have laptops at home and so on. So to answer your question, the lessons we learn at the universities this time from this pandemic is that we have to test whatever systems we have at the universities, because we are dealing with education and this kind of communication. And where do we test it? With the students. Maybe we can choose a 1 week during the term, and we will say to the student, this week, we're going to be teaching you completely online, remotely, with digital technologies. We want to make sure you can do it because now we have seen it. So I think if we learn that lessons, we can be much more prepared. And let me just add one thing. I don't want to take your time. Professor Hawaj said that earlier. This pandemic have brought us together, like now we are together now. But more importantly, we need to be more now understanding to the challenges faced by universities in very poor developing countries. They are not even enjoying internet. And those countries, now we can feel, many people in Africa, when this pandemic came out and started this, imagine in the UK, we lost 40,000. When I call to people in Africa and I say, yes, we lost quite a lot of number of people, and my heart are feeling all goes to these families, they will say to me, Allam, we have been losing thousands and thousands every day from malaria. You have never realized that, how serious a family member is just died. So anyway, as universities, it might be a wake-up call for us to start to really understand countries in very poor countries like in Africa, poor Latin American countries, sometimes in Asia, they don't have internet. In some universities in India, they're very good, first class, but others are not. In Africa, apart from Egypt, Tunisia, probably Morocco, Lebanon, of course, South Africa, but Sudan and other countries, they're really struggling with the internet. You go to a university campus, there's no any Wi-Fi. How are you going to teach them online? They're very smart kids, but the university have been closed for 2 years now. Sorry, almost going to 2 years. These are our kids. These are the future, because we're talking about a global phenomena here. These kids are part of us. And just one concluding remark. In 2016, the World Bank, they called us in Marseille, in France. They said, we realize, Alam, in most of the part of the world, like OCDs, kids or youngest or graduates enjoying so much of the digital benefits, like technology, startup, and so on. But we noticed there is a high unemployment in the entire Middle East, including all the Middle East, and they are not benefiting from the digital revolution. Why? And then we went to Marseille, and then we sat down for 1 day, and not all of them, one of the reasons all the experts have provided, including ministers from Lebanon ICT minister was there, from Gaza, from many, Egypt minister was there, many people. One of the things we agreed, among many others, there's no time now, is that universities, most of them, have failed in the last 10 years to produce graduates who can actually capture the benefit of the digital advancement. So I think I have taken a long, I will stop here.
Professor Allam, I think he touched on a number of things. He did mention there'll be a shift in policy directions. He mentioned about transforming leaders. It is high time to think of transforming leaders' mentality. He did mention about, I said an expression, I don't know whether he meant it or not, but it caught my attention. I think he meant it, and I really liked it. He said people, I think you said it, Prof. Allam. He said people are tired of traditional teaching and learning. And I think that's the phrase of the day. People are tired of the traditional teaching and learning. And I think that hit the nail on the head. Future generations will not accept and will not feel comfortable to sit for a 3-hour lecture, sitting on a chair. And I think that is, I like that expression. He did mention this now, the moment of truth and the moment of looking at skills and how we look at them. He did mention we should reinvent and revolutionize our education with the global dimension. And we should reconsider or consider rebranding universities. The brand of universities should be reconsidered and maybe brought to a new life. And as a final conclusion, he called it transformative education, and the issues of knowledge and smart models and data sciences, he took them as very, very serious factors. Finally, I want to say that I think it was mentioned by a number of people that COVID-19 really brought a new type of export. I think Professor Abdullah alluded to it at the end. There is the export of knowledge. So as a university, I don't have to employ a full-timer. I can employ the best faculty, the best professor from any corner of the world to teach one particular course. He doesn't have to be with me in the university. There was a mention of cooperation, and we should help the needy. That is my conclusion. I think really it's been a fantastic forum. It was very enriching. The speakers really gave a lot of knowledge and a lot of ideas. I personally benefited a lot. A lot of the things that were mentioned were very implementable. I will conclude by thanking you all. Special thanks go to Dr. Isra for putting all the efforts of inviting you all and following up. And we welcome you to Ahlia University, and we welcome your cooperation, and we hope to see you soon. That's my conclusion, Isra.
Thank you very much, Professor Mansour. You have wrapped it all up nicely and neatly. I really don't want to take more time from the speakers. It's honestly speaking, I must thank every individual one of you. It has been a very interesting topic that really took us for a longer time without even noticing the time. I must thank you very much. And I also would like to share with you the conclusion remarks that, as you are aware, that we are going to have a special issue in a journal as a journal proceeding. So if you are interested in publishing your work as part of a journal proceeding in a special issue, which will be in an ABDC ranked journal, please let us know, and I will be sending you further details about the submission deadline dates. This is the first point. And the second point I would like to mention that such sessions will be carried on. We will have a second session on 24th of June, hopefully. And if you like to participate or if you wish, if you have any speakers that may be finding an interest to contribute to make this a success, please let us know, and we will be more than happy to welcome them. So I would like to thank you very much once again for your time, for your participation, for your patience with us. And thank you again.